What's up, y'all? Kelly Clarkson with Wayfair. My favorite thing about the holidays? Decking out my whole house. It's not a competition, but if it was, well, I'd win the season with Wayfair. Outdoor inflatable Santa? Got it on Wayfair. Trees, lights, and ornaments? Wayfair. Hosting must-haves like dining sets, beds, sheets, and towels? Wayfair. For everything in your style delivered with fast and free shipping, visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app to win the season. But again, it's not a competition.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
You're listening to Slasher Radio.
He was doodling, and I'm sure you can imagine where that goes.
Sure. All right.
How you guys doing? How is everything?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Pretty good.
Been busy with the anniversary and everything?
No, you guys aren't busy. What do you mean? Yeah, you got nothing going on. Not a million things.
Well, this week is slightly better because it's just after the anniversary. So there was a lot of, getting busy in the background, and now we can not necessarily breathe a sigh of relief, but at least that's behind us. Now there's many other things in front.
Matthew, though, I guess we're talking about it. Congratulations to start on a successful live stream and all that for the anniversary. Everything went well.
It was pretty good, wasn't it?
It was great. And I don't think people understand the production value that goes into the things like that. And
it's a lot of work.
Everything was great.
Yep. But I'm very happy. Yeah, as you say, it turned out really good. We tend to sort of beat ourselves a little bit and go, we missed this one, and the little tidbits here and there and things that it could have been better. But in the end, I think that the reception was extremely positive, and players are happy, so we can't possibly ask for more.
Absolutely not. Yeah, everything. And watching, because I've watched it since I've been around since the game came out several months after, and watching each year progress with how more grandiose that the anniversaries get. Also, while we're talking about, shout out to Dork too, by the way.
Oh yeah, she's just
legend.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric is really good at his job, but he's
as well. Yeah,
super entertaining. But Dork stole the show. I wholeheartedly agree.
Yes, big shout out to her. Before we get into anything that you guys have going on, I could not wait to talk to you about My Little Oni. that was, I loved it so much. I can't even begin to describe. I was so happy, so giddy. I couldn't believe it. And it was so much fun. And it came from out of nowhere.
Yep.
What went on with that?
I mean, we've been hard at work on the modifiers and game modes for a couple of years now. We wanted to make sure that when we released those things, it was not going to be gimmicky. Like, it could be cheeky and fun, but it couldn't be gimmicky. So yeah, it was a long time coming for this one. I know that the Lights Out was sort of just a taste of what this sort of thing could be. I think it was very well received. My Little Oni was just a really silly thing to do, but it showed just how much, like, it's great to take DBD seriously, but it's also great to just have fun with your friends in that world.
Yes.
And My Little Oni showed that in a very, very clear way, I think.
Yeah, that was amazing. Also, I'm going to put you on the spot early here. General question, though. Sure. Was My Little Oni, even though it was an April Fool's thing, it was a lot of fun, everybody loved it. In your studios, was there anything where you guys are kind of using that to see what's possible in the future?
100%. Like, this was not made as a joke, right? Like I said, it was made as a very serious consideration of how can we expand on the gameplay of Dead by Daylight? How can we stretch it? How can we make other modes out, other ways to play the game using what we have right now? And this was one of the options that we considered, and it was deemed super fun, but also it had potential to be a little bit silly. Like it could have been presented in a very, very serious way, also, I believe. But we decided to make it into a bit of a sillier thing for April's Fool, and I thought that was a great idea. But it could have been played super serious too, right? Because it's terrifying to be absolutely minuscule and to be trampled by a gigantic killer. But
Yeah,
we decided to make it a little silly instead, and I think it was a great idea.
it was. And the whole time I was like, they're sitting in plain sight on this one, trying something out. Like it's a perfect, it works in all ways.
Yeah. And you'll see more of that coming. Of course, during the anniversary, we talked about 2v8, which is a bit of a gigantic one for sure. We've also mentioned in the roadmap for the anniversary, I think we mentioned, I always forget the name, the shuffle, chaos shuffle, I believe we ended up calling it, where all the perks are randomized and all of these things. So there are quite a lot of these modes coming. We just want to make sure that when we release them, they feel good. And some of them are very difficult. 2v8 is a good example, right? Like we could have just said, oh, okay, let's open the floodgates and just make it so that it's 2 killers and 8 survivors. We had it, if you were there during the first months of Dead by Daylight in 2016, like we had moments when the game just broke and we had like 4 killers in the same game and 27 different survivors. It's possible. It could have been done just like that, but it wasn't great. And that's why we decided, okay, 2v8 is going to be a different thing. We're not going to have perks. We're going to have class systems for the different survivors to make sure that like people have an easier way to know what they should be focusing on, so that collaboration is still a thing no matter what the chaos level is at. And things like, for instance, you think it's terrible to get tunneled by a killer, but imagine 2 killers tunneling you, like how much that sucks. So yeah, there are a few things that we wanted to make sure we addressed before we released it properly. I got distracted.
I do really like that mindset, though, of like, if you think this sucks, it could be worse. And like that planning ahead.
To be fair, yeah, we could view it like that and just show people just how bad this can be, and hopefully they'd be happy with what they have now. But that's not a thing, right? But you're right. It's a good contrast.
Yeah, and honestly, another thing with the anniversary event that you guys were very thorough and you took a lot of questions that we were planning on asking you.
Yeah.
2v8, I mean, that was one of them I was meaning to ask because the community's wanted it for so long.
It's from day one, people were asking, right? Literally from day one.
And they don't think about what goes into it from a development end, and they just want to play 2v8 and all the things you guys got to worry about. And you guys were very open with it and the process of it.
Yeah.
It seemed like there was because this is a game mode, it's not a modifier.
This one, yeah.
And it looks like you guys are really considering one day maybe this being an option to be a permanent mode. Is that how serious you could take it?
I mean, any one of those game modes has the potential to become something permanent if that's what people want, right? Or maybe there's always going to be the regular queue and then the whatever the current game mode queue is, and then we always have a mode and that changes. Like, I don't know, there's a million different ways this could go, but you're correct in the sense that we will always want to have the regular game. And even just during the anniversary event, we mentioned it, this year there are queues for people who want to do the event stuff and the people who just want to play Dead by Daylight, because we had issues in the past. There were tensions and frustrations because, some people were really sweaty and try hard and tried to do specific things, but it's always been the case. When we put a special event and we give you different objectives, if people are just trying to play the game, then that gets in the way. But if people are really just trying to do the side objectives, then they're unhappy being in the middle of other, like, it's sort of a very delicate balance. So it made sense to separate these. which is an interesting thing because for the last, I think, 5 years of this game, mentioning separating the player base has always been sort of a taboo thing, in the sense that we're always like, no, it's going to make the waiting queues way too long. We want to make sure that people can play the game all the time. We're not going to split the community. We're not going to split the player base. I think that now we've sort of come to realize that there are enough players playing at any time that it's not going to have a significant impact on your wait time, and it's absolutely worth it to make sure we tailor the experience to whatever you want to play at that time, right?
Yeah, and I've always gotten that, especially the previous times talking to you, that you guys are very, because everybody remembers there were long queue times and the days of those, issues. And it seems like you guys are really trying to avoid that because getting into a game is priority. But now I'm glad you are able to make those changes, and the community is big enough and active enough to be able to do that, because it does. I'm not gonna lie, I'm guilty of during anniversary events. Why are they in the void? Yep. I'm on the hook, but it is a real issue, and that is great that was mentioned. Yeah.
While on the topic of the modifiers, the Chaos Shuffle is going to be playable May 16th to the 23rd. Is there anything you can tell us about that one?
I believe that those dates are correct. Will correct me if I'm wrong. Well, I don't want to go into the details of the game mode, other than essentially that's it, right? You go into the game and you're essentially assigned perks randomly through all the different perks in the game, whether you own the characters that these perks are attached to or not. You're just sort of given a loadout and you make the best of it.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, the element of uncertainty has always been at the very, very core of Dead by Daylight, right? The idea of not knowing who you're up against, the idea of not knowing which map you're going to be in, who are the actual players behind the different players around you, behind the characters around you. It's always been at the very core. So I do believe that the Chaos Shuffle is going to be quite a lot of fun. And like, people love to have their favorite loadouts, but the being forced into trying other things that you normally wouldn't is kind of fun too, because there's so much stuff in Dead by Daylight, so many combinations possible. It's very easy to sort of get stuck in not necessarily a rut, because it sounds very negative, but sort of it's easier to do the thing that you usually do.
Yeah, and I see that even watching people stream, a lot of redeems or random perks or pick my build, and several times I've heard, I kind of like this. I've never tried it before. Yeah, you don't know what's out there until you try it.
Exactly. Randomness. I mean, that there's a reason why Dungeons and Dragons uses dice, right? It's fun. It's fun to be told what the story will be, and then sort of go with it and explore. Limitations are great for creativity.
Speaking of Dungeons and Dragons,
yes,
new chapter. I know how big of a fan you guys are. So even before we get into Vecna and all these things that are going on, could you talk a little bit about, because everyone knows how big of a D&D fan you are personally.
Yeah.
What did the importance of this to you, your team?
Look,
yeah, go for it.
I don't know if you're seeing my camera. I know I'm all alone showing my face in here, but if you do, like, I found those. They were in my library. Can you see those? Oh, you can't see those.
In and out. Yeah.
It's blurry. Just give me a sec. Do not blur. There you go. These are the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons books that I started playing with. They're the 1980 edition, but I got them probably in 83 or something like that. I must have been 8 or 9 at the time. And I kept those. They were actually wrapped in plastic by my mother, who did the same with all of my school books at the time. And so, yeah, I've kept those very preciously. They're sort of an artifact here for me. Yeah, I've been playing vigorously for the last I mean, there were pauses throughout, but we started again about 9 years ago, I want to say. And my group of friends, we've been playing every Wednesday. Now it's Tuesdays because we had to change, but we've been able to keep playing every week for the last 9 years almost. So yeah, it's a very personal thing for me. It's such a huge part of who I am today and why I do the things that I do, because it forged me in more ways than none. And in the stream, I talked to Sean, our friend from Wizard of the Coast, a little bit, and we touched upon that a little bit. But to me, it's more than just learning how to craft stories or even get into game design, which is an absolutely important part of all of this. But I think that role-playing games, and I know there were studies done on that, but I can't quote them right now, but role-playing games, at least to me and to the people around me, have been such a great way to build empathy and to build a way to think where you more easily put yourself in other people's shoes, right? And it helps to be able to, that, like I said, to have empathy for other people, because you can imagine being other than what you are. And I think it's an extremely powerful tool for kids to learn how to interact with people. Now I'm getting a little carried away and I'm rant as I usually do.
No, yeah.
To me, Dungeons and Dragons is not just about like spending a Wednesday night with your friends, but it's also about exploring sort of parts of yourself and yeah. It's just I absolutely love this.
When you were looking through all of the Dungeons and Dragons lore, how you kind of came to the decision to incorporate Vecna and like what that decision was like. Was it at all impacted by the fact that you've been playing since Advanced Dungeons and Dragons? Because that's like one of the OGs.
It's kind of funny because my boss, Stephen Maroney, who's the VP of Behaviour Digital, like he's the guy in charge, and he's probably slightly more knowledgeable about Dungeons and Dragons than I am. Like he is a huge D&D nerd also, and we ended up having some really like silly, like from the outside, silly conversations about characters it could be about and maps and things, because we have so much common shared knowledge, but it went so deep that at some point we were looking at each other going, nobody else knows this shit, right? Like it's fun for us and we're super excited, but all these names we keep dropping, we're sort of just showing off to each other, but like it's pointless. We had to take a step back a little bit and look at things that are a little more classic, I've made a bit more of an imprint on popular culture, something that people would resonate with a little more, because it has to be more than just fan service to the absolute hardcore fans. It has to be accessible. Right. Fortunately, the last, let's say 2, 3, maybe 4 years, I've seen Dungeons and Dragons take a huge center place in popular culture, right? The whole Critical Role and Dimension 20 and all of these people making podcasts and series of content about role-playing, whether it's Dungeons and Dragons or other, but mostly Dungeons and Dragons, has really put that front and center in people's minds. The whole Vox Machina series, if you've seen it, it's awesome. The movie that just came out, and then we knew also that there was a big 50th anniversary celebration that was going to happen. So it was sort of a perfect moment to dig into that. Now, to answer more precisely your question, yeah, we did name a couple of other things that we thought would be interesting to do as a Dungeons and Dragons chapter, but I think that going for Vecna was just I don't know. Maybe the history will tell that we should have done something else. Although we never know with these things. But I think it was the great one, because I mean Vecna has been in some form or another part of Dungeons and Dragons for the last 50 years, literally, right? The Hand of Vecna, the Eye of Vecna, were items talked about 5 decades ago, and Vecna as a character wasn't there, but there were whispers of what he could have been and legends about him, which is absolutely great. So it just lent itself really well to what we were trying to do.
Can I ask one more
Sure.
really hyper specific Dungeons and Dragons question?
Go ahead.
While we're on the, just because while I was, I think a lot of us, a lot of the D&D nerds that are into Dead by Daylight were kind of hoping and brainstorming and had ideas of who could be brought in.
Sure.
I think that Vecna was the right choice, like 100%. I think this is a decision that just is really clever on a lot of levels. Did Strahd ever cross them? Because I just think that the Barovian lore with the mist and the fog is just such a, like...
It would have been great.
Easy transition.
But there's a couple of things that made it less of an easy choice. Namely, if you've watched the broadcast, you know that there's a vampire coming.
Castlevania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't want to step on Dracula's toes, right?
No.
And we wanted to make sure we kept a big sort of separation between those. The other thing also is that the whole Ravenloft storyline, the whole universe, that plane of Ravenloft is not the first thing that comes to mind when people think of Dungeons and Dragons. It's awesome. It's great.
Because Vecna did get transported to Ravenloft, I believe, at one point in the canon. So I think it was a better decision to start with an older D&D character that has that tie-in. But you touched on a good
point too, because Vecna can travel through dimensions, right? He can go other places, and therefore, again, it was another in the pros, another check in that column saying, yes, narratively, it also makes sense to have that character. And if for someone that's just mildly interested in Dungeons and Dragons, having something that's much more dark fantasy, classic, like medieval hero thing, it fits. It requires fewer explanations. So it was actually one of the first ones we talked about was the Tomb of Horrors, because it's also an absolute classic of Dungeons and Dragons, of course, and it's a cool dungeon. And then that was at the heart of the map. Of course, at the core of that adventure is a Sararak, who's another evil lich. And we thought that was interesting. Also, it's been talked about in the Ready Player One. It's part of at least the book, not the movie. But then the map was the hero, which is usually not something that we do in our chapters. So we moved on from that one. But there were a couple of other options, and that's the thing, right? It's so rich in lore. It could have been many, many, many things. But I think in the end, the bard, with its option of how you want that character to be, and the dark, I don't know what's the final name we gave him, the Lich, I believe. So yeah, I think that's history will prove that we were right in picking that one. It's also something that Wizard of the Coast was very, very excited about, because this was really a collaboration, right? We were all nerding out together and talking together, and they were telling us, well, we intend to release some cool content featuring Vecna in the big 50th anniversary celebration, so it would sort of fit if we were to do that. In the end, it was an easy decision.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people forget too, when you guys pick something, or especially when you're getting into IPs, that the part of the goal is for you guys to draw new players in to Dead by Daylight.
Ideally, yeah.
Yeah, and I have seen a little bit of talk. I mean, the reception's been great, but I have seen a little bit of talk of a lot of people saying, "Oh, this doesn't fit," and blah 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 blah. And I think that's absurd. And I wanted you to talk about, first of all, the possibilities of horror within Dungeons and Dragons, but also how important it is to bring different communities in and also mesh that, which is one of your goals.
Yeah, that's a very large question. But yeah, the nature of what is horror and what isn't is a hotly debated subject, right?
Yes.
I think that we've tried many different things in Dead by Daylight over the years. We've also realized, I think, with the All Things Wicked, we've shown that we remember what horror can be like, what really classic horror can be like. I think that is by far our most appreciated original chapter in a very long time, because it's spooky and it's creepy, and it's not a strange take on horror. It's not a far-fetched vision of it. It's not an interpretation. It's really just smack dab in the middle of it. And in terms of Dungeons and Dragons, again, Sean and I talked about that during the broadcast, but Dungeons and Dragons is mostly a very flexible tool for you to tell stories with your friends, and horror stories will be part of that. Therefore, there's a large portion of Dungeons and Dragons, there's a large portion of the fans for whom horror is not part of Dungeons and Dragons, but there's also a large portion for whom horror is absolutely an intrinsic part of Dungeons and Dragons experience. So it was important for us to go and try to find these things, because telling stories of horror, whether you're telling whatever kind of story you tell, the intensity of the reception, the intensity of the emotions, and the reactions that you get from your audience is really important if you want to make them laugh a lot, if you want to make them cry, if you want to make them scared, like, and so using the tools in the Dungeons and Dragons toolbox, if you will, to create fear can be extremely powerful. And so that's sort of what we looked at, and it's funny because, for instance, Dave, our creative director, for the last 8 years has been saying, no, I don't want any magic in Dead by Daylight. Magic is kind of silly. It's stupid. It's an easy fix when you don't know how to explain shit. Like, he had many rants about magic, right? He didn't want magic, but when we started looking at this, he's like, okay, but we'll make this extremely how did he describe it? It's more than dark. It's like, it's magic that is rooted in something real. It's not just magic missiles conjured up of thin air. It's blood magic or death magic, necromancy, something that's really much more visceral, and that is very closely tied to a lot of different folklore or urban myths throughout all cultures, right? I think that every single culture on Earth has some elements of blood magic or death magic in some form. So that's what we tried to focus on in this chapter specifically. I don't even remember what your question was, Ali. I'm sorry.
No, you nailed it. And it was really just something that I wanted you to be able to speak on and let people know. And this is another thing as well that I've seen a lot of, and I've been spent probably more time than I'm proud of arguing with people over, when Vecna was announced, there was a lot of Stranger Things stuff that was brought up. And I personally think it's, being a big fan of movies, how anyone is mad about source material is just something my brain can't comprehend. And I just wanted to give you a chance to speak on, that disconnect there, to where they're getting something that was based on and something that was different.
I'm super annoying to argue with, according to my friends, because I tend to very easily put myself in the other position, and I usually am very reluctant to dig my heels in a position because I know I've been wrong so many times. So I try to be a little malleable about the way I talk about these things. But like source material, you're right. It is the true thing. In this case, Vecna is from Dungeons and Dragons. There are no two ways about it.
Right.
But there is a character called Vecna in Stranger Things, and it's a great character. He's called Vecna because that's what the kids call him, because that's their reference point. He doesn't call himself Vecna. That's not his name. He's not a lich. He's not an undead sorcerer. That's not it, right? It's not the same character. It's just a character that's got that nickname in a different format. That being said, I understand that for many people out there, the only time that they heard that name, especially people maybe of a different generation, the only time that they've heard that name was in relation to Stranger Things, which is also in our game. So it's absolutely understandable that they would jump to that conclusion and therefore might experience disappointment because that's not what they thought was going to happen. I totally get that. And to me, it's not a function of being the true Vecna or no, you should know better. It's the fact that this is what we decided to do. There's no denying that Vecna is part of Dungeons and Dragons, and it was certainly not our intention to sort of pull the rug from under them or mislead anybody in thinking that it was going to be something when it's not. Absolutely not. And it's to be absolutely transparent in this, it would never prevent us to do a chapter and add the Vecna character from Stranger Things. These two can live in the same Dead by Daylight world without a problem, right? Because they're not the same thing. It's not like adding a second version of Michael Myers. It's got nothing to do with it.
Well, since you brought it up, that is another thing that I was wondering, if that does it, argument's sake, and living in a fantasy land, that does happen. Would that be a situation where Vecna in the game right now would get a legendary skin, or you guys would just go a whole new character?
No, I mean, yeah, this is all theoretical at this point, but
if it
one thing that's very clear is that those are two completely different licenses. They live in different worlds. They are the property of two different entities. Therefore, there's no way in hell we would use a license and put a legendary skin from a different IP on an existing license. That's just not a thing.
Right.
And it would make no sense because Victor Creel, I believe his name is in Stranger Things, doesn't use magic, right? He doesn't summon skeletons. That's not what he does. It would make no sense.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that going around, and trying to explain it to people was tiring. We were talking about it though before you guys hopped in, among other things.
Yep.
But we were talking about the powers of Vecna, and Kat. I'm not a Dungeons Dragons fan, and I've never played it. I'm new to this. I really don't know anything. I know what Kat has told me throughout the years. Kat, big Dungeons and Dragons fan. So we were talking about the powers of Vecna and being able to come up with powers for him within Dead by Daylight, and also to kind of, because it's a god and all these things. How do you limit that but still make it powerful to function within the game? What was that balance like internally?
Dave would be the best person to answer this kind of thing, but Vecna is the very first character that we introduced that is wearing what I believe is called the mark of the entity. I'm not sure that's the final name we ended up on, but essentially it's like it is a way for us to take a character that's ridiculously powerful and to sort of restrain it and tone it down so that it fits within the boundaries of Dead by Daylight. So the Vecna, as you see him, the entity has flung him into the world, but also has put a mark on him so that he does not have access to all of his power. He's restrained in this version that you see, so that he is not the demigod that he is in Dungeons and Dragons. He's he's still himself. He's still extremely powerful, but he does not have access to every single one of his powers in the version you see in Dead by Daylight. The Mark of Negation, it's very possible that that's the final name.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up, but yeah.
Thank you. But that's the thing. So we had to address that fact because it's you're very correct. He is probably, if you look at the lore around him, or even if you open Dungeons and Dragons and look at the actual stat block for Vecna, it's just he's completely on a different scale. So we had to find a way to sort of tone him down a little bit. Same with the spells, right? The choice of the 4 spells that we gave him, they were chosen because they're very Dungeons and Dragons, but also because they felt like they were the most fun to play with and to give you a sensation of power and to be able to sort of play with your prey.
I was going to ask how, when narrowing it down to just 4 spells, like
it was tough. Yeah, but the thing is, like I touched upon it a little bit. Dave didn't want not silly magic, but like fairy magic or whatever you call it, like magic missile. No, but the Flight of the Damned. Right. Yes, much more interesting because visually it's appealing. Also, it talks about necromantic arts and it talks about horror, and it was perfect for that. Mage Hand, it's just a classic. We had to put at least one absolutely classic spell in there, and Mage Hand felt like a great way to fill in some of the needs that we have. So every killer needs to be able to interact with pallets, to do this, to do that, and Mage Hand felt like a great way to give him a spin on how he interacts with the world, while showcasing something that is so absolutely core to Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah, these kind of choice that we did. Dispelling Sphere is not a Dungeons and Dragons official spell, for instance. It was a mix between different things, but it felt like it could have been one. And to be fair, Vecna can come up with new spells. If anybody can, he definitely can.
The Masquerade event for this year's anniversary, it seems so much more interactive. They're always such a big deal. Like you guys have events throughout the year, barbecue events, winter events, all that stuff, and they're a lot of fun. But the anniversary, the Masquerade, that's the big one. And this one seems so much more interactive. What was it like? And it's also tying in a lot of past anniversaries as well. What was the inspiration behind this one? And it just looks like so much fun.
Well, without necessarily answering the inspiration behind this one specifically, but the fact is, every single time we've done an event, even though it's a breakneck pace and we just try to get it out the door because we have another one and another one and another one right after this, every single time we manage to create a set of tools or a new feature that we will be able to reuse later on down the line another time. Which means that now, I don't know how many years we've been doing events, but at least 5, I'd say. We are now in a place where when we make an event, we have a series of tools and mechanics that we've already developed. A lot of them can be reused in some way, or at least some parts of it. So it's not easy, but it's easier for us to put on events that have a few more features, that are a little more involved, a little more complex. And then that allows the designers in charge to really have more fun with it, because now they have a set of tools, right? They have brushes and paints, and they can actually make something really interesting for the players. And at the same time, our artists are able to, because we know it's happening. It's gonna happen next year also, so we can take our time well in advance to start thinking about what's going to be the look of the different things that we offer. For instance, the masks this year, they are absolutely gorgeous. They all sort of fit within the same theme. We've even been able to add a couple of our licensed characters in there. That requires quite a lot of time. and because we know that it's going to happen, because we've set up those tools already, we're in a much better position to do more evolved things now than we were before, for sure.
Yeah,
I'm glad it shows.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And this one I'm very excited about. Castlevania was announced as a future chapter.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of, I mean, it's not my top subgenre, but I am a big fan of the universal monsters and Dracula and all these. And I've wanted Dracula in Dead by Daylight so badly for so long, and now you guys are able to do it. Obviously, it's down the road and there's not much that can be said, but would you be able to talk to a little bit of what we could expect? And because I feel like this is another opportunity for you guys to really grab those roots of horror for this.
I mean, Dracula as a character has been talked about for a long time internally. There are a couple of Draculas out there, but Castlevania was a dream for a lot of people on the team, and so it's a very, very. I mean, we talked about Ravenloft earlier, but the whole vampire thing and that whole story and the theme of it and the mood around it is so. I don't want to say universal because I haven't bathed in everybody's cultures, but I feel like there's something very romantic and very deeply ingrained in so many subcultures about the whole vampire thing, about the whole mood of like the things that go around that, the sort of romanticized castle and the bats and the wolves and all of it. So yeah, going for Castlevania is really cool because I think it's one of the really, really well crafted versions of Dracula that are out there, and the way they present the character and the way they present also all the protagonists in that story is really interesting. So you're right. I don't want to get into too many details because it would be way too easy to let slip things that we are not ready to talk about yet.
Right.
But it's a really fun chapter to work on. Even just the locomotion, like how does Dracula walk around the map? Like how does he get from one place to another is going to be really, really fun.
And are you able to, I don't know if you're even able to, but are you able to confirm, because, licensing very tricky. There were so many different forms. There was TV shows and video games with Castlevania. Are you able to pinpoint which license?
I can tell you we are working with Konami on this.
Oh, okay. Beautiful. Yeah, that would be, that's ideal in my opinion.
Yep. It's the video games Castlevania.
Beautiful. And again, not sure how in depth you can go, but is this chapter something we can expect a map with, or is that something you guys aren't ready to announce yet? Because that would be incredible.
That is absolutely something that I'm not allowed to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So I'll just keep my hopes up.
Yeah.
Another big thing that was brought up, and you guys were very detailed, but I can't not mention it, but the cross progression.
Oh, yeah.
You guys have been getting yelled at a long time over that one. And it's finally here, and you guys can't confirm certain things.
Almost here.
Right. Almost here. It's on the way. It's been confirmed.
Absolutely.
You guys can't fully confirm certain things because, as mentioned in the live stream, a lot of that stuff is still being worked on internally. But I don't know if you'd be able to address, like, I've seen a lot of questions about it.
Yeah.
People asking if, prestiges will stack and like all these things. So how in depth can you talk now?
We will be very likely gonna put and I'm saying that right now. I don't have a confirmation, but I'm quite certain we will, in the very near future, put together a broadcast, a live stream or something that's going to be dedicated to that. There's way too many questions out there that are floating.
Yeah.
Now, what I can tell you is that the actual script of what we were allowed to say or what we were meant to say during the broadcast changed about 27 times in the week leading to the broadcast. And I believe we had to redo it once or something because at the last minute it changed again. I'm going to be very careful about what I say right now. But I can tell you that the cross progression is another one of those examples of things that if we weren't able to do it right and to do it justice and to have meaningful cross progression across all possible console, then it wasn't ready, and we wouldn't release it. Like, we wouldn't do cross progression just between like Steam and Xbox One and then PS5 and Epic Store or something, right? And there's so many different entities you have to deal with in this, like Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo and Epic and Steam. They all have their way of doing things. They all have the things that they say, no, you can't do that, you can do this but not that, and making sure that all of it fits together was a really interesting puzzle to solve. Now we are pretty much done right now. The details that are left are minimal, but they're important. We want to make sure that when it comes out, it works, and it's back end stuff, so it's very occult, at least to me. Like, how do we make sure that all of this is like? It would be easy to have you lose all progress on everything because we mismatched 2 server entries that should have been linked instead, right? So we want to be absolutely certain that when it releases, we're not flooded with technical support requests, but that's also
stuff on your end too. That people don't think about. You got to fix that stuff.
And the other thing is we want to make sure that it works and we give people what they want. So yes, the goal of the cross progression is that you are able to keep all your stuff from one console to the next, from one way of playing the game to the next. Obviously, like we said, it doesn't include the mobile version, which is its own beast. But other than that, it means that if I'm playing on my laptop right now because I'm at the cottage in the woods and I'm playing and I'm having a good time, and then I get home and I want to continue playing with the same character, with the same stuff that I just bought on a console, whether it's Xbox or PlayStation, I can do that. Right? And that's the dream here. So most of that is going to happen. Like I said, we'll give more details soon. There's going to be small little things here and there that we have to respect, because that's how the different first parties are doing things. But yeah, it's any minute now. I think this summer is what we said, right? So
yeah. Another thing that was kind of big that happened this week, and you guys have so much going on, but it was very talked about when it was announced. There were balancing changes. I believe it's the 8.0.0 update. Obviously, we can't go into all those individually, and there's a lot of technical stuff that goes into it.
Thank you.
But can you just maybe talk? Yeah, get more Reddit posts about that one.
Yeah, that's it.
But generally, because it's so hot on both ends of the killer survivor spectrum, can you just talk maybe generally about a little bit of what goes into, because these are a lot of changes for one update, what goes into these decisions? And there's so much testing, I would imagine.
Yeah, and it's getting more and more complex every single time we release more content. Like I alluded to earlier, but there's so many combinations now of perks and powers and maps, and multiply that by 4 survivors. It gets a little insane. And so the balancing act in this game has always been a difficult task. It's getting exponentially more daunting as we go, but the people in charge of that, the designers that are day in and day out working on the live balancing, they're getting better. So it's still going really, really fast. The other thing also is that take a sample of 20 players and ask them if this perk is better than this one, or if this is imbalanced, or this killer is top tier or not. Most of them don't agree, right? So we've always looked at 3 things whenever we create content, and the same things that we still look at today when we do the live balancing. The first one is our gut. The people working on this game, they know what they want this game to be. They are experts in their fields. They need to be able to trust what they do. Now, the second thing is data. We have shit tons of data. We have a big a unit in the company called Player Insights. They are data analysts. They are people who run the CSAT survey, and they are also people who gather all of the behavioral data from our players who are playing the game, and they compile this and they make analysis, and then they provide reports and they present that to the team on a very regular basis so that we can have an idea of how people play the game, like what are the success rates of the different killers and so on. And then the third thing is players' perception. And so that's through our player experience team, whether it's direct influencer managers or fog whisperer programs, people who play a ton and have a lot of very vocal players and viewers also giving them opinions about things, whether it's the actual just the like customer support and the community managers, like people who essentially spend their days on Reddit and Twitter and whatever other platforms they can find. Oh, absolutely. and they essentially try to distill what is the feel of the moment, right? What do players think about the unknown right now? What do players think about Deerstalker, the perk right now? Is this one relevant? Is this one never talked about? What is the one bug that everybody hates right now? And so these three sort of data inputs are what educate us in what is the important thing to fix, what is the important thing to tweak, what is balanced, what isn't, where should we put our efforts. And it's an ongoing uphill battle, but I think that once in a while we do a really, really big patch, which is always scary because it changes everything, and then some people will be unhappy about it. But in a sense, it's also very important to sort of shake things up a little bit, shake the tree, and make sure that, like I was saying about the Chaos Shuffle earlier, sort of force people to reevaluate the meta of the game, relearn how to play the game to a certain extent.
Yeah. And I think there's a very important thing that you left out, and I tell people all the time, is you guys have to balance a game for a couple of different classes of people, where it's new players, casual players, and the term competitive that's been thrown around a lot. And
Absolutely.
To balance this game based on all three of those groups of people having a good experience is very hard.
Yeah, and the thing also is that it's true, we do embrace the chaos, right? We've never meant this game to be a sport, in the sense that it is a competitive game for sure, and people can absolutely compare to each other and try to claim to be the best.
Yeah.
But it's not a sport in the sense that basketball or hockey is a sport with extremely precise rules and absolute win conditions. This is not what we do, right? We put on a good show. This is an experience first and foremost, and therefore chaos is embraced in this. It's okay that it's not one-to-one, and there are very, very few things that you can compare that are supposed to be equal. Everything is supposed to be slightly different, and therefore impossible to compare.
Yeah. And another thing, kind of sort of along those lines, or you guys released a new engine that was a big deal, and it's I mean, I can go on forever about how far this game has come from where it was, and now you're on engine 5, which is wild. But a lot of things are possible now with this new engine, and it sets up a lot of things for the future, improves a lot of things right now. I feel like the biggest in-game disconnect between killers and survivors would be like that latency issue of what one player sees opposed to what another player sees. There was a lot of hope and talk that would be able to be worked on and improved with the new engine. Is that something you guys look into?
Without being flippant about it, we're never going to be able to fix the speed of light, right? If you're playing against someone that's in, I don't know, Ukraine or other places around the globe, there's going to be delays. There's going to be some. It's not going to be instantaneous. That being said, there are things that we can do to help this along and to make it better. But at the same time, on the other side, there's always going to be push also to get better graphics and better visual representation and a richer experience. And this costs milliseconds. That's just the nature of the beast, right? So I'm not the technical guy. I'm not going to be able to help much on this one, but yeah, Unreal 5 does bring in a bunch of new ways to do things. Now, being able to use it is a different beast. We have to remember that we often compare it to, right? We're conducting repairs and upgrades on a plane while we're in flight. We're trying to transform it into a space shuttle, but you can never stop flying. And therefore, there are fundamental changes that are going to be extremely difficult to do. That's always just going to be how things are.
Right. All right. So I have to ask this because I don't want to get in trouble with our friend Paulie.
Sure.
I need to request an update on Dino Dweet's tail.
No.
Was there any no tail ever?
I'm not. Right. No, I'm just not going to answer that. No.
Okay. No. Fair enough.
Okay. We have to talk about What the Fog.
Oh yeah. I'm a Dwight main. When I seen Baby Dwight, I almost lost my shit, and it was the cutest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, go ahead. Definitely tell us about that because it's a great experience. I was playing it yesterday.
Oh, you managed to get a key. Good for you.
Yes,
because we anticipated interest, but for a minute there, for a hot minute, the servers blew up in quite a significant matter.
I contributed to that. Yeah,
okay,
sorry
good for you. No, I'm happy you did. But yeah, how fun was that?
It was really fun. It was kind of hard, honestly. It was very cute, though.
Yeah,
it's meant to be a little hard, but it's just ridiculous, and I love it.
It's ridiculous, but it's only ridiculous because people look at, Dead by Daylight. What is this? But I mean, it's a whole nother alternative to enjoy the story of the game, and I love games like that too. You know, it's just something fun to do. You turn your brain off and have fun.
Well, and I mean, please, I hope that the world shows me that I'm wrong. We don't expect this to be the next Fortnite, right? It's a silly little game. It's meant to spend a little bit of time with your friends and just decompress and have silly fun that's simple to pick up, but you can play for hours and hours and hours, and it's still going to be fun, right? The idea for us was to just have a really fun little game that we could give to people. Because we like to give out stuff, and it's been harder to do that. Well, first of all, anything licensed is almost impossible to do. We've managed to do it with Bill Overbeck from Left 4 Dead at the very, very beginning. That was a different thing.
Right.
But and the very first chapter we released, The Last Breath, was released for free, and we've been trying to give out as much as we can, but it's just difficult with the way the game works right now and the way the company is set up. But it was great to be able to make this and give it to people and just go and play it and have fun and enjoy another silly bit of Dead by Daylight. In the same way that Hooked on You was a very silly bit of Dead by Daylight. This is slightly less silly, but I like it.
I love it so much. Yeah, when I seen that, and a friend of mine was selected. I guess you guys had some sort of play test or whatever it was. I didn't know what it was, but then I seen this. I was like, that's what they were doing, and they didn't tell me anything about it, and I was blown away. But they did say, "Oh man, it was so much fun." I was like, "Okay, I can't wait to figure out what this is." And I said, "You son of a bitch, this was it." All right.
There were a couple of other announcements. The announcement from our partners at Supermassive with the casting of Frank Stone. That was kind of a big deal for us to be able to talk about it, and it's coming. Like it's any minute now. This one is about to be here, right?
Yeah. I mean, when we do these with you, it's hard because I feel like it's a speed round.
Yeah, we have so much to talk about.
You guys have so much going on. Project T, which is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
That was announced. Yeah, Frank Stone, that teaser you guys put out was really cool. On YouTube, I like that a lot. Yeah, you guys have so much going on. And I don't know how the hell you guys do it. Honestly, it's incredible.
We just when you work on something that you're passionate about, and that's a good feeling first and foremost. But yeah, I think that we've been maybe pushing ourselves a little bit, but we're not going to slow down, right? We're not going to slow down, and we keep adding awesome partners to work with. So Supermassive, Midwinter in Seattle for Project T, and even internally the whole What the Fog was developed internally at Behaviour, and all of these things. It's passion. It's people wanted to try a thing and do something with us. So it's just a great feeling. But it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean the amount of stuff you guys are doing is insane, and there's no quality drop off. You know, you would think you're getting pulled in so many different directions that something would give somewhere, and I can't see it.
Well, yeah. I mean, it feels like we're juggling with about 727 balls right now. And maybe we drop one once in a while, but there's still 726 left in the air, so it doesn't show too much by that time. We certainly will not claim that we never make mistakes or that we don't, trip once in a while. But I hope that we've kept the humility to be able to learn from that and to be able to at least acknowledge when we make when we fail. And we can do better next time.
Yeah, and me and Ali were talking about it last night and today. We played Dead by Daylight since a couple of months the game was open, so we remember we've seen all of it, and to see like the inbox changes that you guys are making with the new notifications, all that stuff.
Oh yeah, that's going to be useful.
And internally for you guys alone, as a functioning game. That's so important. And I think it's stuff people don't notice, but the fact that Dead by Daylight is still around and is just turning into this conglomerate of a game, it's just so impressive that you guys are doing all this. And it's wild. Usually you see that happen when a game comes out, maybe 2-3 years in, it really gets its structure. You guys have been doing this for so long and still improving and growing, which is kind of mind blowing.
It's a little crazy, and it's funny because Stéphane Beauchamp, our producer, what is he now?
Head of production.
Head of production for
correct.
Yeah.
That guy do.
But he started on the stream talking about the fact that now I lost what I wanted to say.
We've come so far. The retrospective he did.
No. No, it was something much better. But
I'm trying to help.
That's all right. No,
it's 4 o'clock. We're a little.
It might be gone forever.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. We're dissociating at this point, not because of you guys. We're just tired from the anniversary.
I understand, and long story short of it all is pretty much you guys are killing it right now, and. We just love to see the growth, man. You guys, the work you're putting in is not unnoticed, and it's insanely impressive.
Oh, I remember what I wanted to say, but that's what he said. He started saying, "Oh, we have a great year in front. We have so many awesome things, and it's gonna be tough to top the year that we had last year, which was our biggest year yet." And he's absolutely right. When you look at it and you go, we've done 4 amazing chapters last year, and on top of that, we had stuff like Nick Cage and Iron Maiden coming in, like those absolutely batshit crazy things that we added on top of Dead by Daylight that didn't exist before. And this year is going to be, I think, surprising for a lot of people, and it's going to be bigger. I think Dungeons and Dragons is big, like it's really big, but we have a few really interesting things that are not necessarily purely in the game either, that are gonna, I think, take people by surprise in a good way, I hope.
They'll let you know on Reddit. Don't worry about it.
I guess the word is stay tuned, right?
Yeah.
As always, because we have so much stuff.
And we can't wait to see it. Guys, we cannot express enough how much we appreciate you hopping on with us. It's always a blast.
Always a pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's always so fun talking to you guys. You guys are so passionate, and we really appreciate it so much. So
yeah, I mean, being able to we grew into content creation and all that stuff, but before that, we just played the game. So this is like dope for us on a personal level as well, because we're just genuine fans of what you guys do, and we appreciate you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Have a great rest of your day, guys. No, thank you, guys.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, we'll talk soon, I'm sure. Let's book another one when we have more news to share. Absolutely.
Sure. Oh yeah, that'll be any day, right?
Let's talk every week at this point. I'm sure you'll be in touch, Mike, and I'll be waiting for that. Appreciate you guys.
Reach out. I'll be there.
Oh, absolutely. All right, guys, there you go. Make sure you hit us in the comments with what you think about our discussion with Matthew. Anything that you would like to see come to the game, anything you would like asked in the next sit down, anything at all, hit us in the comments. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything. We do also post other horror content. We do have, for all our true horror fans out there, we do have an interview with Nathan Basil, who played Leslie Vernon in Behind the Mask of Leslie Vernon, and also Vincente DeSanti, director of the Never Hike Alone Friday the 13th films. All that stuff was done recently and is still coming out in pieces. So make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss any of that. Also follow us on our regular feed at Slasher Radio on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts for weekly horror content, mostly talking movies, also talking games. Patreon.com/Slasher Radio. If you like our content, we would appreciate it if you support the show. Tier starting as low as $3 a month. There is a 1-week free trial that you can check out. Tons of extra content there, comedy, horror, everything else. You can check out my co-hosts on Twitter at @cat_Valor for Cat and Rob at RadioRob123. You can also check me out at Mikey's Dead on Twitter and follow the show at Slasher Radio on Twitter as well. Check out Ali Surreal on Twitter and also on Twitch at Ali Surreal. Lots of DBD content over there. And as always, I like to hit you guys with streamers that you need to keep on the radar. They are DBD horror content streamers, and everyone already has their rotation that they watch, but I'm telling you, these guys need to be in that rotation right now. Check out our boy Huff and Puff. This guy is a juicer at Huff and Puff on Twitch. Our man Will the Thrill Me. You check him out on Twitch at Dukrai and also on YouTube at Darth Dukrai. He's always bringing a lot of horror content. You can also check out our boy Cressy. Everybody love Cressy at Crescent Dude 85, not to be confused with Cribma Dude 85. And my man Maximum Rick, he is a good time. You do not want to miss the trials and tribulations of Rick on Dead by Daylight. Also, I have kind of a quadruplet to hit you with here. Check out our friends Aggie Gal 15, Vivi Blair, Dreamer_B. As well as, unfortunately, you can check out Hey It's Kate. 4 of those girls are fairly new to Dead by Daylight, but they are growing fast. Their streams are always a good time. You'll get laughs, you'll get loops, you'll get juice, you'll get everything in between. So make sure you go check them out. If you go check out Kate, make sure you do a hands-off redeem and tell her where it's from me. I would appreciate that immensely. Also, friend of the show, Straying Bat. We always appreciate Bat. Bat's always helping us out with any way that they can, and we appreciate the hell out of them. And last but certainly not least, my man Somber OW on Twitch. He is more on the competitive side of Dead by Daylight, so if you're into that whole comp scene, that's your dude, man. Super knowledgeable, incredible at the game, and he's starting his own little scrim server. So if you're into that side of the game, that's your dude, and that's who you want to check out, and that's who you want to get in touch with. They have some intense games over there. Those are always a good time. And I wouldn't be able to end one of these without saying a huge thank you. These are content creators that you guys already know, but their support has been, I can't put words on how much it means to us. And not only that, they're genuinely great people. So make sure, if you're not already, I don't know what you're doing, Polyester, Schmuckles, Veet, I don't know how you play Dead by Daylight without already checking these guys out. But if you're not already for whatever reason, make sure you go do that right now. Tell them that Slasher Radio loves them. All right, guys, we will see you next time. Make sure you subscribe. Good night from Slasher Radio.